everyone, welcome back to the Laurbrary. I'm Laura. Today I'm going to be doing my December TBR. So this month I decided to be very ambitious and I have 10 books on my TBR for the month. So I'm just going to show you all the books that I plan on reading this month. So let's get started. First, we're going to go with the novels that I am planning to read this month. So the first novel that I am planning to read this month is a YA novel, and that is Gemina, and this is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Sorry that you can't really see the name. The library put the desk cover on incorrectly. But yeah, this is the sequel to Illuminae, and I read that earlier this year and really enjoyed it. But it just took a long time for me to pick up the second one. Now this is quite a big book. It's around 700 pages. But it goes really fast because most of the book is written through reports and emails. So not much of it is actually dialogue and exposition. Now the first book was about a colony in space that gets attacked and has to escape and is basically being chased down, all the while other crazy stuff is happening, like a horrible disease and issues with the AI on the ship. And like I said, I really enjoyed the first one. I believe I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I really liked it, really enjoyed it. So I'm really hoping I'll enjoy this one too. Now the second book that I picked up is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. And so this book is about a girl whose father is a drug dealer, and so basically it's just about her dealing with that. She becomes friends with one of her father's thugs, and so I'm guessing this builds into something more. I think it's just kind of a story about her growing up in this situation and the unlikely friendship, and I think someone hauled this, I can't remember who, but I already had this on my list, but I don't know, I just really wanted to read it this month, even though it's not very wintry and it sounds kind of depressing, but I really want to get to this. The next novel that I picked up from the library is The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger by Stephen King, and I've been wanting to read this series for a while. They usually don't have it at the library I go to, and I just was too lazy to request it, but I guess because of the movie coming out, they have the first one. And so I've just been excited to read this. I can't really explain what this is about. It's about a boy who I think goes to another world, and there's a gunslinger, and it's kind of like a weird dystopian western science fiction all put together. I don't really know that much about this, but I've really wanted to read it, and it's actually pretty short for a Stephen King book, so hopefully I can get to this month. So those are the 3 novels that I picked up from the library, and now I have 2 from my collection that I'm hoping to read. I really need to start reading books that I actually own, and so I'm hoping to read at least 2 a month. First one is The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey, and this is the story of a couple that moves to Alaska, and they've had a lot of problems conceiving a child, and so one day they end up making a snow child out of the snow, and then the next day the snow child is gone, but they start seeing this little girl in the woods, and they kind of like adopt her, but it kind of leads to some interesting things happening and seems like it might have some consequences. I picked this up earlier this year and I really wanted to read it, and I just remembered that I wanted to read it this winter, and even though in Texas it's almost 80 degrees and it most likely will not snow this year, I want to get to this. And the second book I own that I might get to is The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen, and I want to read this because it is kind of a Christmas story. It's about a woman whose husband has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and she wants to have a final Christmas with her family, and I don't know if that means that she's going to leave her husband or what's going to happen. It's actually quite a long book. It doesn't look that long, but it's around 550 pages, so hopefully I'll get to this. If not this month, maybe I'll try to read it at the beginning of January, but I would like to get to this since it is a kind of Christmas story, kind of a messed up Christmas story, but yeah. So those were all the novels on my TBR, and next I will show you the graphic novels and mangas that I'm hoping to read this month. So the first one that I picked up from the library is Amulet, and this is volume 2, The Stonekeeper's Curse, and this is by Kazu Kibuishi. And I read the first one a couple of months ago, and I wasn't too crazy about it, but I did want to continue. This is actually a children's graphic novel series, and it is about these children that and their mother who move into a house, and they find this amulet, and then their mother is kind of abducted into this other world, and they are trying to save her. I gave the first one only 3 stars. Like I said, I didn't enjoy it that much, but I do want to continue because I know a lot of people enjoy it. The next graphic novel that I picked up is Saga Volume 7, and this is by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. I talked about Volume 6 in my November wrap-up. So if you kind of want to know the basics about Saga, you can look that up. I'm not really going to talk about it because this is the 7th volume. This is the last one that's out. I think Volume 8 is actually coming out this month, and I'm hoping my library will get it soon, because I'm excited to continue this. I've heard this one is really heartbreaking but amazing, so I'm excited to get into it. The third graphic novel that I picked up is Lock and Key, Volume 3, Crown of Shadows, and this is by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. I read the second one last month. It was in my November wrap-up. Also won't talk too much about this one. Basically a creepy house with keys that unlock the supernatural. I've really enjoyed this, so I'm happy to be continuing. And the last book in this category is Doubt Volume 2 by Yoshiki Tonogai. I talked about this also in my wrap-up, the Volume 1. So this is Volume 2. I believe there are only 2 volumes, so after this it should be over. So I'm really happy to finish up with this because I enjoyed the first one. It's like 400 pages, but I finished it in like an hour and a half. So I am excited to read the second part. And the last thing that I picked up from my library and I'll talk about is the one nonfiction book that I plan to read this month, and that is Unmentionable, The Victorian Lady's Guide to Sex, Marriage, and Manners, and this is by Therese O'Neill. And so this is basically just like a guy that would have been out back in the Victorian times. So it's kind of making fun of what women were expected to act like and dress like and everything in Victorian times. I think it's going to be really funny, just making fun of that, and also sad in a way, but hopefully it'll show how far we've come. Not that there's still not issues in that part of our society, but I just think it'll be a fun read. It's not really Christmassy or anything, but I did want to pick up one nonfiction book because I haven't really read much this year. Whoops, we have got to go back to the fiction part real quick because I forgot that the first book I read this month was Sworn to Silence by Linda Castillo, and this is part of the Kate Burkholder series. I listened to this on audiobook. The narrator is awesome. Basically, this is about a little town in Ohio that also has an Amish community in it, and all of a sudden these murders start happening that resemble murders from the past. And the chief of police, Kate Burkholder, who is our main character, kind of was involved in something that happened with those in the past, and so it's really scary to her that it's cropping up again. So basically it's just about her figuring out what's happening, and it was super creepy and unsettling and gross, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm already on the second one. So I think for December I'm just going to try to listen to as many of those as I can because most of them are on overdrive from my library. Hopefully I don't get too burnt out, but I'm really enjoying them. So that is my December TBR. I'm really hoping to get to all of these books. I know it is an ambitious list of books that I hope to read, but I am not going to push myself to read all of them if I can't get to them because I do think that is what can put you in a slump. But I really do hope to get to as many of these as I can. If you've read any of these books, let me know about your thoughts, if you've enjoyed them, if you haven't. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.